consultation, which will be open for any stakeholder, including residents that wish to comment, and it will stay open until the 26th of March. And we really would like to encourage and invite everybody to make a submission. They will be consulting on the 3 proposals that were put forward for Oxfordshire. For us at SODC, we have over the past year been working in partnership with 4 other councils on a proposal for 2 unitary authorities for Oxfordshire and West Berkshire. For us here at SODC, we are looking at the Ridgeway.
Present online.
Thank you. Councillor Maggie Filipova-Rivers.
Present in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Peter Paul-Barker.
Present in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Georgina Heritage.
Present in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Lee Rawlins.
Present in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Anne-Marie Simpson.
Present online.
Thank you. Councillor Tony Morgan.
Present in the room.
Thank you. And Councillor Mike Giles.
Present in the room.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Going straight on to agenda item 3, these are the minutes. We have here the minutes from Thursday, the 13th of November. Is everybody that was here happy for me to sign those as an accurate record of that meeting?
Happy to propose.
And do we have sure. Outside me. Just have to.
Yes, of course. And just to say we are now broadcasting live for everyone.
Thank you, Becky. We've gone back to live. Excellent. Agenda item 4 is declaration of interest. Does anybody have any interest they wish to declare? Oh, Councillor Simpson. Oh, Councillor Simpson. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah, it's more to declare that I don't have an interest, I think, but I just want to make it public that Earth Trust has come into my ward, the land. So I have no pecuniary interest, but I thought it was important for me to raise that for transparency.
Thank you. You happy with that, Nick?
Absolutely, Chair. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you all. Again, in the course of the meeting, if you remember that suddenly you are a company wishing to provide recycled services, let me know, and we will note your interest. So, urgent business, I haven't got any, so we'll move on to agenda item 6, and this is public participation. Just to say that this is going to be a very, very long meeting. So to help you out, and I'm sure you will be thrilled to hear about our budget, as we all are. However, we are going to reorder the agenda and take the Earth Trust item as agenda item 8. So just after recommendation, so you don't have to wait very long to hear our deliberation. Okay, great. So. Public participations, we've got 2 names. We've got Robin Tucker and Ian Barrett. Do you both wish to speak? Yeah. Who would like to get this going?
Ian Barrett.
Ian, go ahead. You can sit over there. Together? And you have,
I can set time.
yeah, up to 3 minutes each, right?
Yes, and I'll shout out when we reach 30 seconds, just for completeness.
You can start.
Thank you. So, Earth Trust looks after the much loved Whitton Clumps and surrounding landscape, which is the largest area of open access land in the area. Located just a few miles from Didcot, Abingdon and Wallingford, just half-hour drive from Henley and Tame, we already see 200,000 visitors a year from all corners of the district and welcome over 300 volunteers. Although we own and manage the land, this is a landscape of the people of South Oxfordshire. It's a place of great times for the family, of children making memories, wild and windy walks, and we even hear of many wedding proposals at the clumps. It's your place, your memories that are being made, and it's our role to make sure that more people can have these wonderful experiences. The Gateway to Nature project is a continuation of our core purpose to help people get outdoors, enjoy the countryside, and fall in love with nature. It responds to the needs of a growing population in South Oxfordshire, encouraging more people to visit the beautiful landscapes on their doorstep so that they can experience the uplift of time spent in nature. The Gateway to Nature phase that we are asking you to support will create a new visitor hub that will make people feel more confident and welcome in the countryside. It will support their health and well-being, a sense of pride and belonging in South Oxfordshire, and opportunities to connect with other people from their local area. Through experiencing the joy and wonder of this landscape, it will also encourage people to want to protect it into the future. Some of you will know that the Gateway to Nature project has been many, many years in the planning, and we're delighted to be at the cusp of realising this ambition in 2026. Construction is lined up to start in March, making your decision today very timely, you could say quite urgent. If we were to go ahead without still funding, Earth Trust would need to mortgage property assets, creating a long-term drag on our finances through interest payments and making it so much harder to continue to look after the land. We're obviously completely committed to looking after the Wittenham clumps, but it comes at a huge cost each year. We really do need this support. With still funding, the Gateway to Nature project would represent a collaboration with South Oxfordshire to deliver against 3 of your strategic priorities. Firstly, action on climate change and nature recovery. Still funding will help Earth Trust nurture the next generation of nature guardians and also enable us to continue to pursue wildlife conservation and nature-friendly farming across the Wittenham Clumps landscape. Homes and infrastructure that meet local needs will be providing the green spaces and open countryside the growing community needs to live here well. Thriving, healthy and inclusive communities. This project will help more people enjoy the benefits of the outdoors, the joy of seeing a yellowhammer in spring, a meadow in full bloom in the summer, or the flash of a great crested newt as it makes its way along the stream. Together, through the Gateway to Nature, we can make South Oxfordshire an even better place to live. We would really appreciate your support to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Tucker.
It's Robin Tucker. I'm a trustee of Earth Trust, responsible for ensuring the trust delivers its charitable objectives and remains financially solvent. We provide the people of South Oxfordshire and beyond with a wonderful green space. We've been part of the community for over 40 years, and in addition to our nature and farming role, we consider ourselves a vital part of Oxfordshire's health infrastructure. As the population grows, as people spend more time on their screens, and as both physical and mental health challenges grow, it's never been more important. We've been enabled on this journey by one of Oxfordshire's greatest entrepreneurs, the late Sir Martin Wood, and his wife, Lady Audrey Wood. Martin passed away in 2021, and the trust he and his wife set up continues to fund us in 2028. But we need to assure our financial stability so we can still offer green spaces and environmental education to the families of Oxfordshire in the future. And so we've developed a plan which includes developing more reasons to experience and learn about nature with an adventure place scape, graded countryside walks around our nature-friendly farm and conservation landscapes, and indoor and outdoor classrooms for children of all ages. This also involves improving access with an easier access car park, a walking and cycling track from Didcot, and better paths towards the nearest bus stops in Brightwell and Long Wittenham. What's less visible is how deep we are digging to achieve this. We've sold one property and are lined up to mortgage others. On our current cost estimates, we can just about achieve this by digging into our reserves and scaling back some of our environmental activities for a few years. But it's quite tight, and we're not able to do everything that we'd like to do, either for nature or for helping the people of South Oxfordshire to experience its benefits. That's why we're here to support this application for community infrastructure levy. We would like to thank the Didcot Garden Town team for their support in our application. This funding would allow us to proceed with more confidence. It would reduce the need for debt and interest payments and the overall risks of the project, and that would allow us to provide more benefits back to the community sooner than we would otherwise be able. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you both very much. I was going to go to Cabinet to see if they have any questions of clarification, if that's okay. Councillor Rowan?
I'm just a little bit interested in particularly listening to what you're saying about your funding until 2028, where your sources of ongoing revenue income are to sustain the operation going forwards. Is that farming? Is that rents? Is that the cafe? And also a little bit about how you market, how you intend to market and support bringing the people to the Earth Trust.
So it's a whole mix of different funding streams. So we have some cottages on site which are rented out. We have an education programme which welcomes 6,500 children this year, which is funded by the schools and by by businesses who help to fund schools coming. We let out rooms for corporate meetings, weddings, We have agri-environment funding for looking after the landscape. We sell crops and do make a profit selling crops. I've been Chief Exec at Earth Trust for just over a year. I started last December. And when I came into Earth Trust, it had been running at a deficit, quite a significant deficit for a number of years. So we had to make some quite significant changes over the course of the year to bring it onto the track to achieve break even by 2028 with the transition support from the Aspen Trust. So lots of income sources, which just about enable us to do all the things we want to do. We've got big ambitions to do far more for the local area, and this would massively help us to be able to do that.
Thank you. Is the cafe part of that?
Yeah, the cafe and the adventure playscape, that's what allows us to close the gap.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
But there will be plenty of other things to do that won't be chargeable. Yes, you'll still be able to go on the clumps for free.
Any more questions, clarification?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it was quite
Thank
clear.
you both very much. We really are thrilled to have you with us. We rarely get public participation, so we're really, really happy. You can sit back down and then listen to our discussions, which will be in a very short while. So we'll go to agenda item 7, which is recommendations from other committees. And Becky has circulated the scrutiny recommendations from scrutiny that happened just earlier this week on the 3rd. And we've got one from JAG. So yeah, Becky will helpfully read them out for us.
Yes, of course. Are you happy for me to take the JAG recommendations in the agenda as read and I can read out the scrutiny?
I think let's read them both for the benefit of anyone that might be listening online.
Yep, of course. So Joint Audit and Governance Committee met on the 27th of January and they considered a couple of the items that are relevant to tonight's agenda. So the first one was the Treasury Management 2025 to 2026 mid-year monitoring report. And South Oxfordshire District Council resolved to 1. Note the Treasury Management Mid-Year Monitoring Report 2025 to 26, and they were also satisfied that the Treasury activities are carried out in accordance with the Treasury Management Strategy and Policy. They also considered the Treasury Management and Investment Strategy 2026 to 27, and they resolved to approve a number of elements of the report and recommend these to Cabinet. The first point was to approve the Treasury Management Strategy as set out in Appendix A. Also to approve the prudential indicators and limits for 2026-27 to 2028 to 29 as set out in Appendix A. Also to approve the Annual Investment Strategy 2026-27 as set out in Appendix A and the lending criteria detailed in Table 6. Also to approve the Environmental, Social and Governance Policy in Appendix E. Further to that, Scrutiny Committee also met and they considered 2 items. The first of which was the purchase of housing 10 million allocation. And the committee resolved to note the report with a request that Cabinet Member for Housing and Planning revisit the temporary housing needs for Henley-on-Thames and Tame. They also considered the revenue budget 2026-27 and the capital programme 2026-27 to 2030/31. They resolved that the committee note the report, but they also had a number of recommendations to Cabinet. The first of these was that clear communications are produced, including social media, highlighting the small percentage of council tax that goes to South Oxfordshire District Council. The second was that Cabinet consider whether having a proposed budget surplus is the right position and to consider possible service enhancements, such as improving leisure services. The third was that Cabinet acknowledges the flooding needs of the district and ensure it remains a high priority. And the fourth was that Cabinet continue to challenge capital spending profiling. Thank you. That's all the updates from me. So I'll open up to Cabinet to respond.
Thank you, and we'll keep those in mind. Yeah. Okay, so I will go to the Earth Trust item, which was originally agenda item 12.
What page is that?
69.
And I will go to Councillor Peter Paul Barker, who is going to introduce the report for us.
Well, thank you very much to the representatives from the Earth Trust for attending tonight and speaking to us. That was very useful, especially for Cabinet members who are new to the project. As it happens, I've been involved since 2019, so it was, less of a surprise for me. Good to hear it all about it. So yeah, full details of that project that was presented to us are in the Cabinet report and the appendices that we have in our papers tonight. And it's important to note that this isn't a decision to be made by Cabinet tonight, but a recommendation that we will make to Council for the meeting on 12th of February for that decision to be made there. But it was obviously important for this request to come forward tonight along all the other budget setting reports so that we can consider it in the round together with everything else. From a CIL perspective, the allocation for this request, as proposed at 500,000, £500,000, along with a long list of other proposals that are in the papers tonight, would fully utilise our SIL balances, the ones that are available to South Oxfordshire specifically, both the next budget year and the one after, so 26-27 as well as 27-28, and that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. So I'm not suggesting that's a bad thing. Should this be supported at Cabinet and subsequently by Council, then officers will be delegated to process the award of funds to the Earth Trust, along with any appropriate safeguards to be put in place. And officers have already collated information from the Earth Trust to enable that, so including necessary information to undertake the required financial due diligence to ensure that the project is both deliverable and sustainable, as we would expect. The Council's head of legal has also confirmed that an award of this scale and nature would be allowable under the current local government review measures, which unfortunately we have to bear in mind. So as part of our deliberations this evening, I would ask Cabinet to consider not only the report and the proposal itself, but also the wider context around the rest of the budget and the Council's financial stand. Simon Hewings and Mark Hewer are in attendance this evening and are happy to cover any questions that Cabinet members may have.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barker. We are into questions now, not debate. Do we have any questions for either Councillor Barker or our officers in attendance? No questions? I have one. It just occurred to me that building work is starting in March, did you say? Well, it's, and I just, that's quite a short time frame. So I guess I have a question for Mark, whether, should the application be successful and approved by full council next week, is that enough time to turn it around, given that there is some due diligence that needs to be done?
I would very much expect so. I'd like to extend my thanks to the Earth Trust. They've been very forthcoming in providing the information we need to be able to put together a report and make sure we've got what we need to do the financial due diligence and other information that we need. If it is agreed tonight and at Council, I will continue that contact with them in order to be able to make sure we've got everything in place. We do have template funding agreements which we will work on in terms of the release of the funds. So we'd work closely with our legal team to get that round. So again, providing that there's no unexpected bumps in the road, I would thought we'd have that funding agreement in place to enable the funding to be released in accordance with the works.
Thank you, Mark. That's excellent to hear that you have this ongoing communication as well. Councillor Cooper has a question.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll take this opportunity to express my strong support for this so that I don't have to butt in again. I've had a long association with this, with the Earth Trust and the work there, and I'm really impressed with what's happened at the site over the last 20 or 30 years even. But originally I wasn't too keen on this because I didn't think that the District Council ought to be spending money on what are essentially highways issues in my view. But what's made me change my mind and what my question is about is that I do understand that the county has been working on the cycle track, which will take people from Didcot up to the site, because I would like to encourage as much sustainable transport in the area rather than people having to come by cars. So I wondered if we could have a quick update on how the cycle route is coming on. And I'll also just comment that I'm really pleased that they are going to get a move on and do this quickly. Those of us who've been watching capital projects and the rather slow rate of delivery will be very pleased to see something coming quickly from our funding. So I wish it well for the future, but how's the cycle track coming on? Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's a question mostly for Mark here in terms of conversations with county around progress around the cycle path. I don't know whether you can answer that, Mark, now, or you could take it away and answer later, whatever you feel more comfortable. As it's not.
Sorry, I was just scrolling through my emails to get the response from the county council on this, so I can let you know exactly what they've said. They're actually work underway, and it's been underway since Christmas. The work, it's been hampered by the poor weather which we've been having, but they expect the facility to be open very soon. They felt it important to note that the whole route itself can't be considered as a designated cycle path because of some of the constraints of the route. However, they do think it will be well used as an active travel route for walking, wheelchair and inevitably cycle facilities as well. This will link up to funding which we've already provided for a council through the capital grant scheme for the bike storage and EV, bike charging facilities at the site as well. So it's all quite a cohesive project, and yes, I'm also very happy to see that the works are underway by the county council, and that route will be in use very shortly.
Thank you.
Excellent to hear. Thank you, Mark. We're still into questions, so I will go to Councillor Morgan.
Yeah, so thank you. I had a question regarding the OPEX costs for the cycle route. And the National Cycle Route 5 is in a terrible state in that area, and it's great when we build something to ensure that people are able to use it to start with. But if the surface deteriorates and there isn't enough money in the budget to keep it going, then people will stop using active travel. So I'd just like some kind of assurance about, once it's actually built, is there enough money in the programme to maintain it?
2 officers.
Sorry.
Did you get that, Mark?
It was about OPEX costs for the cycleway, that once we reach a position of steady state that is open, there is enough budget there to actually for ongoing maintenance of the cycle route, making certain the surface actually remains in a proper state so we don't get a deterioration in active travel.
I'd have to take that question away. Unfortunately, I don't have the information from the county council, but I can certainly put that to them and to find out what their proposals are for long-term maintenance of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And we can also double that up. Those of you as well, double package as well. I was not even aware. Progress, which is good to hear. Right, so we're now into debate. Does anybody want to get started? Councillor Rowland?
Yeah, I think this is a super site. Many of us will have visited at various points. We've been assured by officers that the other capital funding that's alluded to in the report and the sustainable and diverse revenue streams look credible. And I thought the response tonight was also very good and very credible. It's actually been thought about. It's actually sounds like a doable project, and one that can become a jewel for the district, and I think give a lot of opportunity, not only with engagement with nature, but also as a destination to visit. Perhaps I could see cycling groups going there. I could see, of course, some people will go by car. We know that. That's why we're building a car park. But I think that it is a really interesting proposition. And I look forward, when those facilities are all in place, to seeing the marketing reach out. I could see or perceive through what I've seen the impact and reach to schools and other community groups. So I think this got a really good feel to it, and I'm very positive about it.
Thank you. Just really quickly, Becky has hopefully reminded me that I needed a proposal, a second proposal. It will be Councillor Barker, and I'll I'll go with Lee. Thank you very much. So we continue with our debate now, and Councillor Simpson is next on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived in South Oxfordshire for 35 years this year, and I have visited Whitnam Clumps and the Earth Trust area for many occasions. It started off with my young children, then I got a lovely dog who sadly has passed away in that time. Took him there to meet other dogs and other people, and I've been there with friends as well. So I just think when I reflect on how I felt when I go there, and I think that the importance of it as a place for health and well-being for residents, which I am one, a South Oxfordshire resident, and the fact that this project will expand that reach to others is really important for me. It shouldn't just be me enjoying that and a few others of us. The more that can come and enjoy it, the better. And that will obviously include tourists as well. It could well be, as Lee says, a jewel in the crown for South Oxfordshire, and also a legacy for South Oxfordshire, because we won't be a council in a few years' time. And I just think it's a fantastic project. It ticks so many boxes, you know, in our way ahead plan, whether it's the environment, climate action, the importance for children coming and learning about the past as well as the future, and looking after the important spaces, green spaces you have around you. For me, it's a really exciting project, and I'm really pleased to see that it's come forward in a form that you know, sort of we can support. So I do hope that council takes a similar view.
Thank you very much, Councillor Simpson. That was lovely, Councillor Heritage.
Well, I'm going to keep it really short because I probably can't say more than has already been said, but I just think it's important to say something, because I have been following these projects for a couple of years now, and like everybody in this room, I should imagine, I know the value of the area. I'd like to see it protected. I'd like to see more people enjoying it, especially children learning. And I know this has been said by my councillor colleagues, but I think it is important to say it again. And I think I can see the wider benefit to the community and the district for sure. I think the application is sensible. I think it's thorough. And I'm very happy to support the proposal, and as Councillor Simpson said, I think this is a positive legacy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very, very pleased to support this. I've taken my own children up on Whitman Clumps. I've been up there myself when I was younger. I've taken my Cub Scout group up there. It's fantastic. The North East Didcot development's got 2,100 houses right next door. And actually, this is providing another bit of green lung on the edge of Didcot to enjoy. So this is going to be a fantastic facility for them. I really, really hope actually the people who live very close will be able to use that as part of their daily cycle routine, their dog walking routine, just to go up there and actually just use the facilities, use the cafe when it's available. I think that will be, it's such a fantastic thing to be on the edge of Didcot where we've got so much development, and actually this is a real benefit to Didcot as well as other parts of the SODC. So yeah, really happy to support this. It's really great.
Wonderful. Lots of enthusiasm around the room. I don't see any other comments, so I'll just make a very quick one, and that is a little bit of credit to us as a council for being able to collect the money that makes these types of projects possible. And this is due to our community infrastructure levy that we levy on development. Not all councils have community infrastructure levy, and we went through a very thorough process. Councillor Simpson may be able to remind me when we reviewed our still charging 22, 3, something like that, which enabled us to kind of have a sensible charge. And because of that, we have been able to have, we'll hear a little bit more about those later, but that is what has made it possible. And being able to invest in this type of infrastructure facilities, assets, is really wonderful to be able to do. So I am hearing a lot of positivity around the room. I will go to Councillor Barker to sum up and propose a recommendation.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I'm really proud that we have the Earth Trust in South Oxfordshire. It's a wonderful facility. And there was an item on Radio Oxford today about a study that's shown a very clear link between health and well-being and access to nearby open space. And that's exactly what this provides, amongst many other things. Yeah. So I'm very happy to recommend to ask full council to approve this award.
Do we all agree the motion, the recommendation? Yeah, unanimous. Thank you all very much for coming again. Maybe we'll see you at full council again. You're welcome to stay and you're welcome to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see.
Oh, no. Right. We are going to enter the Councillor Barker show now with a lot of finance-related agenda items, starting with the Treasury Management 25-26 mid-year monitoring report. We heard the recommendations from JAG earlier, so over to you, Councillor Barker.
Thank you. Yeah, this report, which was written as at the 30th of September 2025, details the results of the Council's Treasury activities for the first 6 months of this financial year. And the report was mentioned by JAG already. The tables show performance for the first 6 months, and as we know, the forecast investment interest for the year is expected to exceed budget. So that's obviously positive news for us. And it's due to interest rates being above those that were forecast when the budget was set, as well as slightly higher than expected average balances that we manage. The report also confirms there's been no need for the council to borrow during this 6-month period, and no borrowing is forecast for the rest of the year either. And the council has remained within all prudential indicators and counterparty limits. So I therefore propose the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Barker. We have Anna Winship and Simon Hewings on online. I think I can't actually see. Yeah. Is there anything from you? Anything to add at this point?
No, nothing to add at this stage. Thank you.
Nothing to add. Great. Do we have questions?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to second.
Do we have questions? No questions? Do we have a proposer? Councillor Barker, seconder. Now we are into debate. Do we go ahead, Councillor Owens?
Yeah, I'm very happy to second. Pleased to see that there's a reference to the inflation rate in the report now. And yeah, we've done well and good result. So yeah.
Excellent. Any more debate?
I just wanted to mention a few points in wrapping up, which I think are worth highlighting about the review of the new ESG aspects and how we're achieving that. So officers are looking at the use of some new money market funds to enhance the possibilities of investing in those that are more ESG friendly, as well as providing more liquidity and offer improved yields. We're also setting up a new money market fund portal, which will show us more information on ESG qualities for money market funds that are available to us. The other point to make is that, as you know, we have a unit trust with L&G, which is included in the report as always. And officers are looking at options of alternative unit trusts, looking for funds that may be preferable or complement the existing ones, could be a mixture, but that would also be more in line with our ESG policy. And of course, all of these funds would have similar security, liquidity and yield factor.
This is really exciting to hear. So can we all agree the recommendations? Do you mind to read out the recommendations? Recommendations. Would you like me to read them out? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the first is to consider the comments from Joint Audit and Governance Committee. Also to note the Treasury Management Mid-Year Monitoring Report, and also that you're satisfied that the Treasury activities are carried out in accordance with the Treasury Management Strategy and Policy, and to recommend to Council on 12th February 2026 to approve the report.
Excellent. Can we all agree the motion? Thank you.
Nice.
Unanimous. carrying now with Councillor Barker, who will present the Treasury Management and Investment Strategy 26-27. Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So this is the document that we review annually together with the budgets. And it's the first in a series of 3 statutory reports that Cabinet receives about Treasury management activity for the coming financial year. All councils are required by law to approve an annual strategy, which defines the parameters for the council's Treasury management function. And as mentioned on the previous item, one of the things that this strategy includes is our ESG policy. This strategy is already being considered and recommended by the JAG committee on the 27th of January. There are a small number of changes in the document to the counterparty selection criteria, which Cabinet is asked to recommend to Council. They're on in paragraph 69, Appendix A. But apart from that, I don't believe there are any changes.
Wasn't there? Anyway. Thank you very much. So we are into questions now. We've got our officers online. If you have any technical questions, no questions. Okay, I have one, just a clarification. I remember seeing a line in here about the borrowing aspect, becoming a borrowing local authority. Did I imagine that in various reports?
That is in the budget papers, yes.
That is in the budget papers, but not in this in management.
No,
Maybe.
not in the stream.
My error. Thank you. Do we have any debate on? Sorry, before that, we've got a proposal. Do we have a seconder? Seconder? Okay, Councillor Morgan. Do you want to speak? No. Just formally second. Wrapping up.
Shall I read the recommendations?
Yes.
So the recommendation is that Cabinet considers any comments from the Joint Audit and Governance Committee and notes the Treasury Management Strategy 26-27, the prudential indicator limits contained within, and the annual investment strategy as set out in Appendix A, and recommends to Council to approve the Treasury Management Strategy, to approve the prudential indicators and limits, and to approve the annual investment strategy and the lending criteria.
Great. Can we all agree the recommendations? Unanimous. Very good. So we are moving at pace with the agenda. Agenda item 10 is capital strategy, and the floor is Councillor Barker's again.
So this is another strategy that we review annually. Adoption of a capital strategy ahead of the financial year is a requirement of the SIPP Prudential Code. The strategy provides a high-level overview of how capital expenditure, capital financing, and treasury management activity contribute to the provision of services, and also provides an overview of how associated risk is managed and any implications for future financial sustainability. There are no significant changes to this year's strategy, and I therefore oppose the recommendation.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? No questions. I will second this one. Can we all agree the recommendation? Do we want to read them out?
Yeah. So first of all, the Cabinet recommends to Council to approve the capital strategy 26-27 to 2035-36, which is contained in Appendix 1 of the report of the Head of Finance to Cabinet. And the Cabinet recommends to Council to agree the strategy for flexible use of capital receipts, which is contained as Annex A.
Thank you very much. In favour? Can you agree the recommendations? Maybe with the next one, we'll give Becky the opportunity to read the recommendations to say Councillor Barker a little bit his voice. Great. So we are now into agenda item 11. This is the meatiest part of our agenda this evening, and it is the revenue budget 26-27 and the capital programme 26-27 to 2030-31. So, Councillor Barker, you introduce.
I'll introduce the topic, yeah. So this report sets out the revenue budget and the capital programme, as Maggie mentions, that Cabinet will recommend to Council for approval. The report was considered by scrutiny, and we'll talk about this recommendation during debate. This report built on the budget scene setting report, which we considered in October last year, as well as the budget update report, which we considered in December last year. Now, under the government's proposed timetable for LGR, this council is expected to be superseded by one or more unitary councils from the 1st of April 2028. However, that timeline has not been confirmed. And so to help support the financial planning of any successor councils, this budget has been prepared together with an assumption that the council continues to exist in its current form for the duration of the medium-term financial plan period, which is 5 years, so the papers will contain figures for the full 5-year period, even though we don't expect SODC to exist for that period. The revenue budget for 26-27 includes a modest contribution of 259,000 to reserves, which scrutiny has commented on, which is below the projection in last year's MTFP, which was for a transfer to reserves this year of 516,000. However, that still represents a broadly balanced budget, and no cuts to services are proposed. Indeed, we are proposing improvements to services. There are also revenue growth proposals, discretionary ones, included in Appendix B1. As noted in the report, this is the first year of a 3-year settlement from government, and that's very welcome after many years of 1-year settlements. As anticipated, SODC is on what the government calls the funding floor, which means it's our comparative core revenue spending power, combination of council tax and settlement grant funding. And it means that that funding floor would be lower than that which we received in 25-26 based on our relative needs, which is what the government's fair funding review was looking at. However, due to transitional protection measures, our level of core income doesn't actually fall for that 3-year period, which the government has already provided details of. However, the years 4 and 5 are very different. And now included within the core revenue spending power is the new homelessness, rough sleeping and domestic abuse grant funding stream, which brings together those previously separate funding streams and is a ring-fenced grant which must be spent on those services. Further detail on how the council's allocation will be spent will be determined in due course, but for the purposes of budget setting, the increase in income over that received under the previous grants has been added to the budget so that future spend decisions can be accommodated within that. Now, officers have included an estimate of potential future funding in the MTFP, so years 4 and 5, which includes the expectation that the transitional protection from the government will disappear in those years. The MTFP also estimates future pressures on the council, inflationary, for example, as well as investment income revenue, which is difficult to predict and changes over time with interest rates and so on, but also as we use up balances to fund the capital programme. As noted in the report and based on those estimates, the council is likely, in fact, can demonstrate financial sustainability in the first 3 years of the MTFP. But based on current estimates, that may not be the case in years 4 and 5 without that transition. We are recommending an increase in council tax of £5 for Band D property, making the total charge for the next year for a Band D property £156.24, or roughly £3 a week. So I think it's fair to say that we are a very good value council for our residents. In terms of the capital budget, the growth proposals are included in Appendix D3. And as before, we should note that if agreed, the proposals that are funded from the Community Infrastructure Levy would fully allocate all available SIL funds for the coming budget year and the one after. And on that basis, I'd like to move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Barker. We have Simon and Anna on the call, and we'll go into questions first and foremost. But I actually, before we do that, wanted to say just how grateful I am to Councillor Barker and to our officers. This is a lot of work, and this is my first time where I have felt that I need to be really involved. But previously it was just my portfolio that I worried about, and now I worry about all of the budgets. So it is really a lot of work for our officers, and you know, at a time over Christmas when all of us are taking a break, they are probably dreaming about budgets and worrying about them. So really heartfelt thanks for getting us to this point. And now we'll take the opportunity to maybe ask some questions. And
thank you, people and officers, for all this hard work. And you mentioned the small surplus of, I think, 209k that's been budgeted for. And I would say this council offers incredible value for money. So very well done for all this hard work. My question, though, is, do you think it'd be reckless, given what scrutiny has said, and speaking more theoretically, for anyone to try and burn through that surplus, given there are some possible potential needs down the road, and there's the whole council, including, as I understand, every single party voted on a motion around supporting hospitality recently. Would it be reckless for anybody to propose removing that surplus?
Yeah, I'm certainly comfortable with that figure at this stage in the budget. And it's important to have some flexibility during the budget year, especially given that we do have that study that's taking place around business rates and whether there's anything council could potentially do on that. And obviously taking away any budget surplus at all would make those kind of studies fairly pointless. Thank you.
thank you for that. Any more questions for either officers or Councillor Barker? Okay, another one. I'll allow it.
This very quick on the fair funding review. Obviously, it's great we've been given a transitional period of 3 years. Would you describe it as fair, given it appears to broadly take money from certain areas and broadly give money to areas which Labour controls or wishes to control?
Well, to be fair, I haven't looked at the whole national picture. I think what we've always said as an administration is that the main issue for us with the government approach to our settlement is that they don't allow our council tax level to be reviewed properly. And we've inherited a situation where the council tax is, I think, among the 10 lowest in the country and £65 below the average. But we don't have any way of resetting that, which would be a good way forward for areas like ourselves. Obviously, that will now happen to some extent with LGR, although it sounds like, unfortunately, the government may just take an average of existing council tax levels, which would then bake in that problem for the next authority as well.
Thank you, Councillor Barker. Councillor Rowland, we're into questions still.
I think I know the answer to this, but can I just confirm the period over which the MRP is being based here? Obviously, it relates to the requirement we have to set aside for having some borrowing, but I just want to confirm the period, the asset life that's being set out in terms of the number of years.
Simon, before you come in, for the benefit of our numerous public, I'm sure, online, could we not use acronyms? Maybe just use the full term. Okay.
This is the minimum repayment provision that we have to make on borrowing that we undertake.
Thanks.
Yeah, so the basis on which it's calculated is the useful life of the asset against which we have borrowed. So if we're borrowing to fund an asset with a 50-year estimated useful life, it will be 50 years. If it's a 10-year useful life, it'll be 10 years.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just asking what this is based on. The references in here.
Hey, are you happy with the answer? Do you want any more?
Well, I'm just not sure for the purpose of the budget what the number of years we're using actually is.
Number of years, Simon?
It depends, because there's obviously more than one asset or assets involved in that calculation. So I don't have that information to hand, but they will have gone through I know Anna has worked through, particularly in respect to property assets, with the head of development, corporate landlord, to determine the useful lives of the assets we'll be borrowing against.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Do stay. I've got one question if everybody else is done. And I think it was at the scrutiny meeting, one of the officers said that there was a calculation done going back to just how low our council tax is. And I think it's really important, to know what the district proportion is. Did I hear somewhere that it was 6p to the pound goes to the district? Is that right? Yeah. Okay, good. It's very low, but because unfortunately we are the authority that charges it, people assume that it goes to us. If only we would be doing a lot more. Great. So we are into debate now. Oh yeah, I need a seconder, and I will second the budget. Okay. So who wants to start us off? Okay, let me do some scene setting. Let me start. A little bit of as an answer to Councillor Giles. Look, I think it probably will not be a secret to anyone that local government has not received a huge amount of money from government of probably since 2008 or something like that. The central government grant has been decreasing, and as has been previously mentioned, government now bakes in council tax increases they're expected as part of the calculation, and so you could see, if you see the two lines of the central government grant and council tax, they effectively move in the opposite direction. So what that has meant for many local authorities around the UK is that budget setting is an incredibly painful period. Many have to make cuts to really essential things. And I think one of the positive things for us as a district council is that we have not had to make those cuts. This is thanks to a lot of work from our officers in terms of very diligent and prudent financial planning. It is also down to Councillor Bartle, who has had this portfolio for very many years, and those that came before him. I remember when we first, in 2019, came to be the administration, the financial position was really quite dire. And it's good to be in a position at a very difficult year for many local authorities to be here with a really positive budget that is not only balanced, that there are no cuts, and that we are actually actively investing in communities, community infrastructure, and I'm sure we'll hear about that later. So thank you all for those of us who got us here, and I'm glad that we're looking solid to secure for the next couple of years as well. Good position to be in. Councillor Heritage.
Well, probably inevitably, most of us in the room are concentrating on the areas of the budget within our portfolio, and I know you're in a very different position this year. But I said this last year, how pleased I was that we were able to deliver a balanced budget where a lot of councils are not in that privileged position. And obviously, great thanks to Councillor Barker and to our officers, and it goes without saying, but it always needs to be said. But not only do we, as you mentioned, do we have no cuts, but we've got some areas to be really proud of, and we're one of the only councils, probably the only council that I'm aware of, that offers a grants package, for example, as wide as we do, that we continue to offer this superb package, that we're in a position to not only continue with it, but we're able to continue with increasing it. And this is the second year that our council community grant, for example, each councillor has had an additional £2,500 on the previous amounts to give back to the community, and I think that's something that we shouldn't take for granted. We have newer grants such as the Performing Arts grant. I've been in a fortunate position of visiting some of the recipients of that grant recently and seeing the great work that they're doing. And, you know, this is not just about performing arts, it's about what it gives back to our communities. And I think it's very unusual for a council to be able to offer such a grant. We're a big part of building stronger communities, protecting our arts and heritage, encouraging some great organisations which might otherwise struggle for funding. So from our council community grants, our capital grants, our Everyone Active grants, our revenue grants, our performing arts grants, and I think
and
it's...
the new one?
Sorry?
The new one? Climate action.
Sorry, yes, so we have so many grants. And I'm just delighted that we're able to continue with that and keep improving on it. And I just think that needs to be noted. And from my own portfolio as well, I just also wanted to comment on an item, a line in the revenue, which was on which was based on our community cohesion motion, which came through council a few months ago, and our subsequent statement on community cohesion at this council. And I'm just really pleased that we're in a position to allocate some funds to that. And it's an especially important priority in these times, it feels, and I'm really looking forward to working on an action plan. So I'm just really grateful, not that we have a balanced budget, but that we're able to do so much with it for the benefit of our communities. So
thank you, Councillor Heritage. I have to say your portfolio is so enviable. You get to work with so many excellent organisations and to actually support them, and they're very quick in delivering, as we have heard, action projects. You know, so just to say that Goring received a community interest grant, and they are going to deliver for a new playground, and it's going to be delivered before towards April or something along those lines, which is very, very quick. They only just got the grant in December, so you know, and we've heard from the trucks as well. Thank you very much for that. I can't remember who was next, but I will go to Councillor Simpson. Thank you.
Thank you, and I also want to thank Councillor Barker and the officers. And every year, the how you bring these to us, make them intelligible to us, and actually give us a balanced budget to work with, or offer that as a choice for us. I just think it's there's so much work behind the scenes, and a huge thank you. I'm really excited about delivery, actually, of so many things that we've wanted to see come forward. So I'm really pleased to see that the garden communities remain supported in the budget, both Didcot Garden Town to support staff resourcing to implement delivery on there, and also grants for Berensfield Garden Village. It's so good that we can continue this good work for those areas. I also was particularly wanted to point out the local wildlife sites. Last year I visited one of the sites with our officers that was part of this continued project, and it's across other councils as well. And actually it was sort of quite a difficult time in the year for me last year for personal reasons. And actually it was so uplifting to see the work that was being done there. So when I heard that they were putting in a growth bid for this, I was very supportive of it, because I really do think that it's important towards those wildlife corridors that so many of us who are interested in the sort of improving our environment and nature and biodiversity net gain are very keen to see happen and support. So that was, and then I've got two more things. The Didcot Learner Pool. For me, it's an essential life skill to know how to swim. And it's not just to be able to swim, but to be a confident swimmer. And I think that comes from starting as early as possible. This is also something that is in our relatively new leisure facilities assessment strategy that was adopted at the end of 2024. And I believe it was labelled as a provide in that. So to see that coming forward again for Didcot, which is a growing community. And I do remember at the scrutiny meeting for the leisure facilities assessment strategy and the playing pitch strategy, I do remember a member on scrutiny saying, well, that's all very well, you've got this strategy, but what about the delivery? So I think that it's always good to see things coming forward like this. And and I know it will make a big difference for Didcot and children in Didcot. So very pleased to see that. And of course, the Earth Trust. I won't go over that again, but I'm very pleased to see that in there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. I think I heard Councillor Rawlins next.
Yeah, I think we should look back and reflect how well we have stewarded our incomes and our costs, despite the preset low council tax level that we inherited. We've put S106 and CIL funds to work for our residents. We've set a good CIL level, collected it and applied it. We've managed to put in place some housing and are here planning to put in some more. We've now much more value and better value assets in our balance sheet, including housing, even if we are planning to propose just a little bit of debt to support that increase in assets. Worth thinking that what we inherited back in 2019-20 was a budget for a 3.3 million deficit in the year, whereas here we're planning a minor surplus in our budget. By 23-4, at the end of their MTFP period, it was for a deficit of 6.1 million. The capital reserve had been cleaned out from 21-22 and had nothing in it. And the general reserve by that 23-24 was just 4 million, basically less than a year's worth. And now we have a surplus in the year, even after taking some MRP cost out. And we're saying by 2030, 31, of course, we won't be here. But if we were, the forecast we're saying is that we would have a deficit of 4.6 million, 7 years later than that end year that we inherited. And we'll have a general fund, a general reserve of 33 million and a capital reserve of 8.2 million, able to keep on doing business. So I think we can reflect back with some pride that this is looking a tad better than we inherited.
Thank you, Councillor Rawlins. I always love the analytical input that you have for us. Do we have Councillor Morgan?
Yeah, I'd just like to join other members of the Cabinet in thanking the officers and Peter Paul for presenting something which isn't a drama. There are plenty of councils where people are shouting each other about cuts because people feel very passionately, and we're not having to do that. I mean, the government, we live in one of the best places in the whole country, South Oxfordshire. It's a shame that the government already puts its hand in our pocket to take money out, and it's a shame that fair funding, what an oxymoronic name that is, actually means that they're dipping into our pocket even more. But the one thing I like from what we're doing here is we're protecting the vulnerable, whether that's through flooding in various parts of the district, including the bit about protecting Foxhall Manor Park in Didcot, where there's a lot of flooding of people in mobile homes. We've got very difficult position there, and also in Wheatley, where there's major concerns recently with flooding. So I'm really pleased with protecting the vulnerable there. And also in terms of housing provision and temporary provision, using the money from Didcot Gateway, where we've actually now completed the purchase of 8 units from that money. We've got a further 7 under offer with due diligence on those. So we are expecting to have 15 very soon, to be spending 60% of the money right now. So that's really good. Clearly that spending will go into next year, but actually protecting the vulnerable, looking after our most vulnerable residents, whether that's through not being in the right housing provision or having their housing flooded, is the right thing to do. And I'm really pleased we can do that. Clearly, it would be fantastic if the government hadn't put its hand in our pocket so much. We could do more, especially with regard to climate resilience and providing more flood prevention for people. But we are where we are. At least we're actually directing that money in the right way. So yeah, really fantastic to be able to support this budget.
Thank you very much, Councillor Morgan. I think you might have stolen Councillor Giles' thunder a little bit, but Councillor Giles, anything to add? You don't have
Yeah,
to.
well, I think on the flooding side, it's great that there's going to be, I think, an extra 285k investment in the next year, of which I think 51k is going towards Wheatley, which obviously had pretty devastating floods back in 24, and there's obviously ongoing flood warnings and flooding issues around the district more generally. So I think that's a testament that money's been found, and as Councillor Morgan said, it's very important to what we're doing here, and communities have been really badly affected, particularly in Wheatley. So well, thank you for finding that money, and I hope it does make a difference and help support residents where they need it.
Thank you very thank you very much. Yeah, it is. The situation there is horrific. And can I just say, we are not the flood authority actually, so it's amazing that we are going, over and above to be able to support. With flooding in particular. I note that scrutiny asked us to keep that as a high priority, to remain a high priority, and I think we're hearing that it very much is. Now, do we have any more comments? I think everyone has spoken. I will go back to Councillor Barker to sum up.
Thank you. Yeah,
and Becky will read the recommendation.
I'll comment on the scrutiny points in my summing up. Okay. Obviously, tonight's meeting and the scrutiny meeting were fairly technical in terms of looking at the budget, and I think it's important that in full council we talk much more about the service and investment aspects and make it more tangible. So I'll definitely work on that in my speech. In terms of scrutiny's recommendations, obviously very much agree with the comms. Highlighting the value for money that we provide. I think that £3 a week figure is a very strong one. We've talked about the small surplus and that it's right to retain that flexibility while we have the opportunity to bring forward in-year proposals. On the flooding, absolutely, there's a limited degree to which we're responsible for flood protection, but for the areas where we are putting the absolute maximum that we can into those schemes, especially Wheatley. In terms of the capital spend profiling, yeah, more than happy to continue challenging, continue looking at that. I know that scrutiny were looking at the figure from 2 years ago, where the outturn was, not very good compared to the profile at the time. I think since then officers have done a lot of work on profiling the capital projects, and so that's what is reflected in this budget, but we should certainly continue to do that.
Thank you very much. Becky, would you kindly read the recommendation first?
Yes, of course. So the recommendations are that Cabinet recommends to Council that it 1 sets the revenue budget for 2026 to 27 as set out in Appendix A1 to this report, approves the capital programme for 2026-27 to 2030-31 as set out in Appendix D1 and D2 to this report, together with the capital programme changes as set out in Appendix D3. Also sets out the Council's prudential limits as listed in Appendix E to the report. Also to set the medium-term financial plan to 2030 to 31 as set out in Appendix F to the report. To allocate 590,000 to fund the Communities Capital and Revenue Grant Scheme, and to also note the fees and charges schedule set out in Appendix G to the report. Also that Cabinet agrees that the Head of Finance, in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Finance, may make minor adjustments to the report and the prudential indicators should they prove necessary prior to its submission to Council on 12th of February 2026. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Becky. Are we all happy to support the recommendations? Unanimous. Thank you, Simon and Anna. We have done agenda item 12, so we'll go straight to agenda item 13, and I believe it's Councillor Giles that is introducing a report on the establishment of the Joint Climate and Nature Advisory Committee. Over to you.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you to officers for putting the work in behind the scenes on this bit of work, which essentially prepared a report, which is obviously here today for Cabinet to consider establishing a joint climate and nature advisory committee with our counterparts in the Vale of Whitehorse. This would replace both equivalent committees on either side, ours being specifically the Climate and Ecological Emergency Advisory Committee. The rationale for this is that both councils have a joint nature and climate action plan, which I think will be separately providing an update in due course about where we're getting to. That was adopted last year, and we now have aligned carbon neutral targets among both councils. Actions in the plan are identical for both councils, and the reporting is a joint exercise. So essentially, officers having to do two lots of work, which is identical in nature and is clearly inefficient. So the objective is to really try and streamline that a bit. So since 2022, these agendas have been identical. We're now going to try and put forward this joint committee. It's a natural step, and it will benefit officers in terms of resourcing and time, and it will hopefully lead to more effective outcomes as well, because all the councillors will be there rather than two separate meetings, and we can hopefully make better progress with the climate action plan. There is some flexibility in the proposals. I think it suggests there'll be 2 meetings per year. It may be that can be looked at over time if appropriate. The timeline of these meetings will better coincide with what the committee is doing as well, such as the NCAP performance reporting cycle. So hopefully there'll be some logic and some consistency to how it's done. And it's intended that task and finish groups continue to be utilised for specific and detailed input into items. Through this mechanism, Cabinet can request a committee come to review relevant South items. And finally, there's been a draft terms of reference, which hopefully everybody has seen. It will be largely the same for both committees, with the inclusion of a reference to a nature of recovery and council commitment to this alongside addressing climate change. Creation of co-chairs, ours being Andrew Tinsley at present, and the balance of this committee with numbers to be equal across both councils. So there'll be 6 members of this 12-member committee from SODC. Clearly that will be done in the way any other committee is done, based on the proportion of councillors. So obviously there'll be a change there, but it'll be purely fair, and we'll have an equal representation on this joint committee. So I propose this and recommend this to Cabinet.
Thank you very much, Councillor Giles. That was very thorough. Do we have any question for Councillor Giles? And I believe we've got Dominic. We've got these quite small as well. And so we've got officers online as well, so they can answer some questions.
So I was going to second.
Okay, we've got a seconder, so we are into debate. If there are no questions, we're into debate. Councillor Rowland,
I'm just happy. I think this is the right idea. I think it will enable it. In a way, it shows how this activity and these meetings have matured over time, and it's great that it will save wasted duplication. I hope that will show that will translate into more delivery. It's not easy to deliver, but it will translate into more delivery, more scope for task and finish, and I think it's the right idea.
Thank you, Councillor Rawlins. I think I have Sue online. I'll go to Sue Cooper. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. Yes, I'm really pleased to see this. I've been advocating this for some time. It's a much more efficient way of working for all the reasons that have been mentioned so far. And with local government reorganisation on the horizon, I mean, we're going to have to do this more and more. So it seems to me the more things we can do jointly, while we can, we're just preparing for the future. And yes, I wish it well. Thank you.
Councillor Heritage.
Just a repeat, eminently sensible. The committees are in a good place at the moment, or they've got to a very good place. There's no point doubling up on committees and resources. It's not a lean or efficient way to continue. The proposal still offers flexibility, still gives opportunity for task and finish groups and to deep dive into areas. It's a balanced approach, and just very happy to support it.
Thank you very much. I won't repeat, but I agree with everything that has been. Oh, Councillor Simpson, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, no, I'm just adding my support for it. Really, I think it's a eminently sensible move, whatever the word is. And actually, I think also just the way the committees will be formed is pragmatic and sensible as well. I always had an issue with cabinet members advising cabinet members, as it's an advisory group to cabinet. But I believe that that's not going to be the case in the joint committee, and I think that's a sensible move, quite frankly.
Thank you, Councillor Stimpson. So we have a seconder already. Who was seconding again? Councillor Morgan seconding. Can we read the recommendation? Are you happy to read them, or Becky? Whoever gets them first. Becky? Yeah.
If you want to take them as in the report, more than welcome to. But I'm happy to read them out. So the recommendation is sorry, so it's a recommendation to Council on 12th February to agree to establish a joint climate and nature advisory committee with Vale of Whitehorse District Council, with the terms of reference and administrative arrangements as set out in the report, and in doing so, abolish the existing Climate and Ecological Emergencies Advisory Committee. And as well to appoint the committee for the 2026-27 year, allocating seats to each political group, and appoints councillors and substitutes to sit on it in accordance with paragraphs 10 to 6 of the report. To appoint co-chairs, and authorise the head of legal and democratic to amend the existing procedure rules as set out in Appendix A, and to make any consequential changes to the Constitution to reflect the decision of the Council, and to authorise the head of legal and democratic to call an independent remuneration panel for an allowance to be established for the co-chair role.
Thank you very much, Becky. Can we all agree with the recommendation? Excellent. So we are into, I believe, the final agenda item, which is the dry mix recycler contract award. Now, the appendix of this report is confidential, so should you wish to discuss it, we will need to go into a confidential session by excluding the public. And I'm sure Nick is online and he will let us know if we are veering in that direction inadvertently. But we have Sue Cooper, who is online, who will introduce the report. She can't propose it, so I will propose it, and I will need a seconder as well from the room. Sue Cooper, over to you.
Thank you. This report is to approve the award of a new contract for reprocessing of household dry mixed recycling, otherwise known as DMR. This service is currently provided as part of the BIFA contract, which is running until June this year. But under the new contract, that contract has been split, and so dealing with the dry mixed recyclables, once they've been collected, instead of BIFA dealing with them, we just have to tell BIFA where to take them. So in order to do this, a procurement exercise was undertaken under the new procurement regulations that we have, and a specification was developed to take accounts of various factors, including environment, costs and operations, and indeed the fact that the government is requiring us to do things slightly differently. Fortunately, we're ahead of the game there, and we already do things like collecting food waste separately anyway, but we shall have to make provision to collect plastic bags and what's known as plastic film. And the option that we've chosen, the winning bid, actually can do that as soon as we can arrange it. The details of the winning bid, as Maggie has already said, it remains confidential until it's actually awarded, so we can't be discussing it here, but the details are in Appendix 1 if you want them. But we had 8 companies showed an interest in doing this contract for us. Out of those, 4 bids were actually received. 1 was deemed non-compliant and removed from the process, so we got left with 3 still. The winner was the best in terms of cost and quality, and was found to be within the budget envelope, and their reprocessing site, whilst the location can't be identified for obvious reasons, is also happens to be the closest. I'm pleased about that. Many people know my thoughts on the previous arrangements. In summary, the officer team for a wide range of departments have worked together to bring forward the recommendation that we accept the proposed contract that would start from the end of June 2026. And I would just add that I regard the present arrangements for collection of waste as very much a holding operation until, would you believe it, we've got local government reorganisation out of the way. Because I'm still very much of the opinion that we need to concentrate far more on waste reduction, and hopefully we can find some ways of doing that, but that will be up to the next council. But so in the meantime, I recommend the report that's in front of you, and hopefully you'll come to the right decision on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Does anybody have any questions for Sue or for the officers? I think Paul is online. I can just about make out his picture. Do we have any questions?
Chair, I've been assured on this previously, but I think it's important that we can make changes to the contract to the way that we segregate or move the dry recyclate going forwards, if that's appropriate and if we're required to do so. I'm totally in support of this. I'm just making the point that it's important that we have that flexibility, and I'm assured that we do have that flexibility within the contract.
Paul, would you like to comment any? Is that okay? Or Sue? Anyone?
No, it's as Lee has just commented.
Okay, we're having nods. Good. From officers, which is important. Do we have any other questions? No other questions. We will go into debate. As I said, I will propose the recommendations, and we do have a second as well.
Can we clarify the second of the news? Thank you.
I thought Tony put his hand up, but no. We can check.
Happy to, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Do we have any comments? Debate? Yeah.
Well, only to comment, as it mentions in point 5 in the report, that the people of South Oxfordshire are currently the best in the country at doing this, recycling, and hopefully this will improve it still further and maintain our position.
Excellent. I will say nothing further. It's been a fairly long meeting, but it's certainly a good option and a good report for us. And again, thanks to the officers. I know it's always stressful, and they have had a very, very busy few months. So thank you for that. Can we read out the recommendations?
Yes, of course, happy to. So that Cabinet appoint the third bidder for the dry mixed recycling DMR contract as outlined in Appendix 1. To delegate responsibility to finalise and enter into the contract to the Deputy Chief Executive in place, and to note that as this will be a contract let jointly with Vale of Whitehorse District Council to commence on 29th of June 2026, the award of the joint contract is dependent upon reciprocal approval by Vale Cabinet on 6th of February 2026 at tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Can we all agree with the recommendations? Unanimous? Thank you. And as this is the last agenda item, I shall now close the meeting. Thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you, the officers online as well.
Brilliant. Susie, can you finish the broadcast?
Too long, really. It was budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
I was so afraid I was going to miss
I expected it to be a longer